Welcome. My name is Bill Hyatt. I am the president of aeroData Services, an aviation technology support company. In the next few minutes, I'd like to introduce you to our newest DOT airline passenger data analysis tool called aeroMETRICS. I'll explain where it gets its data, what it does with the data, and how it can help you. Now, I assume that you are someone who needs to have a better understanding for a given airport of where the passengers are coming from and where they're going to. You might be an airport manager or an airport air service development officer. You might be with one of the engineering firms that provide services to the airports. You might be a city or county official with responsibility for your local airport. Or you might be any one of a number of other consultants and professionals who need accurate historical passenger data for a given airport. aeroMETRICS is a valuable analysis tool that can help with all these needs. So first, let's look at where aeroMETRICS gets its data. All companies engaging in transportation activities and services in the United States are required to provide information on a regular basis to the U.S. Department of Transportation. For example, one requirement for commercial airlines is to provide a 10% sampling of all passenger activity. Many airlines do this by pulling every ticket that ends in 0 and submitting that information. Now, there are two important things to remember here. One, this is a 10% sample only. That means there could potentially be an occasional anomaly between the 10% sample and the actual 100% passenger activity. And number two, this is only for U.S. domestic air travel, not for international. Depending on the type of data, the DOT posts the files either once a quarter or once a month. Once those files are posted, they become publicly available to anyone who needs to access them. Wait a minute, you say. If those files are publicly accessible, why do I need a tool like aeroMETRICS? Why can't I access the data directly myself? That is an excellent question. And the answer is, you can access the data yourself. However, and this is a very, very big however, the challenge is that there can be as many as 25 million records posted each time. Each data file can contain as many as 100 different data points for a particular travel event. So the amount of data that must be analyzed, even for a single quarter, is massive. The DOT only provides the raw data. It does not provide any sorting, selecting, searching, or analysis tools. So yes, you can access the data directly yourself. But in order for it to be useful, you have to have some way to search for and select out the data that is relevant to your airport. This is where aeroMETRICS and other similar data tools come into play. We provide the sorting, searching, filtering, and analysis tools that you need to be able to find that proverbial needle in the DOT data haystack. Now, this brings up another important point to understand. No matter which DOT airline data passenger analysis tool you decide to use, they all start with the exact same data. No one has access to any secret files. Everyone uses the same DOT raw data files to start their analysis. The most expensive package uses the same data as the least expensive package. Other than price, what are the differences between the various data tools? To be honest, not very much. As I said before, they all use this exact same data files to start their analysis. The primary difference may be their target audience. The more expensive packages tend to have a broader range of reports, many of which focus on details that are of interest to the very large airports. It has been our experience that while the smaller airports do need the same basic core analysis tools and reporting capabilities, they don't really have a need for many of the more detailed reports that are of benefit to the large airports. In the end, it comes down to a business decision. There are several very large and very expensive data analysis tools that provide a broad variety of very detailed reports. If that is what you need for your airport, one of those might be a good fit. However, if your needs are more closely aligned with the factors that affect smaller airports, aeroMETRICS is the perfect tool. We provide all of the same basic analysis tools and sorting and filtering and reporting capabilities as the large, expensive packages. We may not have as broad an offering in the smaller, detailed reports, but these may not be of much value to a small airport anyway. aeroMETRICS provides probably 70 or 80% of all the standard basic core reports as the expensive packages at 40% or less of the cost of those expensive packages. Why pay more for reports you may never use? aeroMETRICS is provided as a cloud-based subscription service. All you need to access it is a connection to the internet. This means that you can access the data in your office, in the field, at a client site, in a planning meeting, in a meeting with the county commissioners, anywhere where you can get a Wi-Fi signal. One of the key design elements of aeroMETRICS is that it is targeted to the non-technical user. We do not believe that you require an IT background to get the information that you need. aeroMETRICS is simple and easy to use. It is clear and understandable to an admin person with no particular IT background or even aviation training. In aeroMETRICS, there are three primary reports: the DB1B report, the T100 report, and the catchment area or leakage report. And each of these three reports provides slightly different information. So let's take a look at some actual aeroMETRICS screens and see how it works. This is the main aeroMETRICS webpage, and listed here are the various reports that can be run using aeroMETRICS. There are three primary reports: the DB1B, the T100, and catchment reports. We'll first look at the DB1B. This shows you how many passengers are traveling from point A to point B. So we first start by selecting beginning and ending year, and then our particular airport. We'll use Salt Lake City in this case, and then various destinations that passengers might be going to. The important thing to remember about the DB1B report is that it measures point to point. In other words, how many passengers start in Salt Lake City and end up in LAX or Denver or San Francisco. It doesn't matter whether it's a direct flight or there's many stops in between. It just says from point A to point B, here's how many travelers were on that route. We run the report, and here's the information that we receive. Going to each market, what the nonstop miles are, the passengers, the PDUs, the revenue, and various things like that for this route. And this can all be dumped out to a CSV file if you want to include it in an analysis you're doing someplace else. The important thing to remember about the DB1B report is that it simply tracks passengers traveling from point A to point B, no matter how they get there. A second DB1B report is the top markets for your particular airport. And again, if I select Salt Lake City, let's say, in this particular starting year and quarter, I can look at the top 10 or 25 or 50 or all destinations that are reachable from my airport. We'll just pick 10 here. And this report now shows me the top 10 markets that passengers from my airport are flying to. And this shows me the various destinations, the nonstop miles, passengers, PDUs, and so on. The next report is the T100 report, and this is a little bit different. This just shows you the number of people on board an aircraft for a segment. We don't care where they came from, where they're going. We just want to know how many passengers are on board. So again, if we pick Salt Lake City, and let's just pick Delta flights, for example, for this particular period of time, and let's run this report. And this shows me all the different places that passengers from Salt Lake City on Delta go to. Now, this is a pretty long list because it also includes all the code shares and their destinations, but most importantly, it gives us the inbound and outbound passengers and the inbound and outbound seats so that we can compute a load factor for that particular segment. The third type of report is the catchment, or sometimes called leakage report. These reports show for your particular airport how many local passengers are actually driving to some other airport to catch their flights. Now, this assumes that you've had some kind of a catchment study report done by your airport staff or by a consultant that breaks down percentages from a local area, or area 1, area 2, area 3, or our county, or however it's been set up. And we'll need those for this report.
So for this example, let's pick St. George, Utah, because you could drive down to Las Vegas to catch a flight, you could drive up to Cedar City to catch a flight, or even clear up to Salt Lake City and catch a flight. And we want to know from our airport how many passengers are driving someplace else to catch flights to various destinations. And we'll pick Salt Lake City, maybe LAX, and Denver. We'll go with those three. Now down here at the bottom are those catchment percentages we talked about, which you'll need to get from your catchment study report. aeroMETRICS cannot compute those, but it will use those when it makes its final computations.
These three primary reports, with all their various options, provide someone who needs accurate historical passenger data for a given airport with all the information they need to create an accurate analysis on which to base recommendations for future decisions. I invite you to join the many other airports, engineering firms, local governments, and other airport-centric consultants and organizations in exploring the benefits of aeroMETRICS. I am sure that, like these many other companies, you will find aeroMETRICS to be a very valuable data analysis tool for your business. I hope this brief introduction has been helpful to you. For more detailed information on aeroMETRICS or for pricing questions, please give me a call. I look forward to speaking with you. And thanks again for your interest in aeroMETRICS.